Awesome. All right. Much love from the mushroom. It has been a minute. I think the last episode we recorded was May or maybe even April. So we used to have a co-host, Danny Camp. He's been pursuing his music career. He moved to another city. So we've kind of been in a lull. We found Maddie on TikTok, who seems just as gung-ho about psychedelics as us. Thought it would be nice to have a little conversation about it, and then figured why not record it and have a new episode of Mushlove from the Mushroom. So welcome, Maddie. Thank you for coming on. How you doing?
I'm so good. Love talking about all things psychedelics. Had to
Yeah,
wear
I can tell. I got
my
my
mushroom
mushroom
shirt.
headband. You got the shirt. We're ready.
It's
So
only you had to, you can't not. Any opportunity I can wear my little mushroom shirt. Yes.
exactly. So you want to give me a little bit of a background just about you? Where are you from? What do you do? Where do you live? Just anything you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yes. So my name's Maddie. I'm from Chandler, Arizona. I've been living in Charleston, South Carolina since October. I was a traveling brand ambassador, dance teacher for a very long time. And when COVID hit, I lost my job
Mm,
and I kind of had a lot of free time. So I fell into that like spiritual awakening rabbit hole and what am I doing with my life rabbit hole. And then
mm.
about a month and a half later, I found a yoga teacher that was super what everybody calls me now woo woo. And I was like, this
Yeah,
is really
I,
cool.
I like woo
Crystal
woo.
Reiki and sound healing. And she was tatted with all this old, her ancestor, she was Native American. So she
Mm,
always taught us about that stuff. And then one day she came up to me. That's a super short and sweet of who I am and what I do. But the more exciting thing is what led me to psilocybin.
yeah,
But we were during COVID, we really had so much time, and being in Arizona, the weather was perfect. So she was like, "Hey, the studio's shut. Let's all go to the park." So it was like 10 people, 20 people. Next thing you know, a month later, there's like 75 people out here. And she's giving us all a capsule of psilocybin mushrooms. And so she comes up to me one day and she hands me two. She goes,
Have
here
you
you go,
ever
try
have
this.
you ever done it before then?
Never,
Oh
never
wow.
before. Yeah.
Damn.
So I smoked weed. But at the time I was very heavily drinking because the crowd I was in, that was just the thing to do after work. Go get a drink, then go to the party. And so I was like, okay, Friday nights, I'm going to go to the park. I'm not going to go hang out at friends' houses and drink. I'm going to do something that's good for me.
Hmm.
And so she hands me two, and my mom's sitting next to me, and my mom takes one. And so we both
No
take it.
way.
And yeah, my mom
And
was with me.
w
It was
were you aware of like potential benefits of it or what how it worked or anything like that? Or
not a thing.
and how much do you know what was in the capsule your first time?
That it would have been 0.3 of a gram. So 0.30.
That's
Yeah.
that's like a pretty decent microdose for
For
sure.
my first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she was like, just trust me. And I was like, okay. And I did. I fully trusted her. She was not that type of person that would ever, put us in a dangerous situation. And so an hour and a half goes by, this awesome sound healing, the chimes, the
Mm.
flute, the yoga. And she's like, okay, wiggle your fingers, wake up. How's everybody feeling? I look at my mom and I'm like, are you feeling what I'm feeling right now? It's the first time since I lost my job in COVID where I was like, nothing matters. It's okay. I'm
Hmm.
happy. I will figure this out.
Yep.
And so I was there every Friday for 3.5 months,
That's
microdosing, bought more from her. And like Tuesdays and Fridays were my days to microdose. And it was
mm,
just insane how much positivity came through me in such a really horrible time in my life and in the world at that time. So I was blown away.
that's awesome. So once you took it the first time, I love that you just took it actually like without even really knowing. That's awesome. A lot of people, even people interested in microdosing mushrooms, I feel like they still have nerves and like they finally get in their hands. They're like, I'm gonna wait. It's a little scary, nerve wracking
Yeah.
sometimes because you don't know what's gonna happen. But that's awesome. So once you took it the first time, felt great. The next day, did you start researching, delving into like everything it could do, or are you just like, this is awesome, I'm cool with it. Let's keep going.
I didn't really dive into the psychedelic part of it. I kind of dove deeper into more of the who am I part. Like, what am I doing? Do I actually like my job? I
Mm.
was a former pageant girl. I was Miss Arizona. So
Oh wow.
as I started to look back at these things, I also allowed trauma to come back. And I was like, okay, show me what I need to work on. Show me how to heal this pain that I'm feeling, which mushrooms will do that. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, look, if you do this microdose, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes you might get a little anxious, but I believe that that's something that you need to work on. Something
Definitely.
in you.
Definitely.
Yeah. The
Did
mushrooms
you,
like, hey,
how did
oh,
you,
listen.
how did you figure that out? Or did your yoga coach kind of become your coach for microdosing? Or because that stuff's very important. And a lot of times, I feel like microdosing is super powerful, but if you don't have intentions, if you're not analyzing your thoughts, if you don't have, I actually have like a therapist, not even psychedelic. I don't even know how much psychedelic she knows I do, but it's just nice to have someone to talk to get through your problems. If you don't do that, a lot of people think it could actually make things kind of worse because you'll get super anxious or
Yeah.
feel bad. So how did you know to do that, or and did you have like a routine for it, or you just kind of like every once in a while analyzed?
No, I definitely had a routine, and I think that's super important. I think that a lot of people had that previous trip that really kind of screwed them up a little bit, and they're like, "No way, I'll never touch drugs." And I'm like, "Okay,
Right.
wait, this is a really small dose. I pair meditation, stretch, and nature
Mm.
with it,
Yeah,
and a notebook. So it sounds like the cliche, usual thing, but it works. If
that's
you
what
go
works.
out, people will go out and like pop mushrooms at the club, and I'm like, that's gonna make it you just don't want that. So in that aspect, people have abused mushrooms in that way. If it works for you, it works for you. But if you use this as a healing tool, it's like a whole new world. It was
Right.
for me.
No, I definitely agree. So sounds like you did every Friday for a while. Did you
Yeah.
have you heard of the different protocols? Have you tried any protocols like the Fadiman protocol, Stamets protocol? Any thoughts on those?
No, I haven't. And I think that a lot of people do like that 3 days on, 2 days off, or that type thing. And I tried that for a little bit and it didn't work for me. But that's
Mm,
also because I work a lot. And sometimes I like to take a little bit of a bigger dose and just do nothing all day. That seems to really just help my creativity the next day, help me focus the next, like it's a long-term effect. And so I have some friends right now. I'm actually working with a kid who has autism,
mm,
and I was like, look, he might not feel it right away, and his mom's trying it as well. She's like, I didn't feel anything. I was like, that's the point, is you don't always feel something. You're not
yeah,
going to see aliens every time, but start
yeah,
paying attention to your emotions weekly and to what you're craving. I crave less alcohol. I crave less junk food. I'm way more positive when someone used to cut me off in the road, I'd be like,
yeah.
but now I'm
e-
like, it's okay. It's fine.
Exactly. Or even if you're like that, it's like you for a second you do it and you're like, no, I don't need to do that. I'm cool. It's like
Exactly.
you still have bad days or you still have bad things happen, but you rationalize it, you figure it out. So you're saying like I get that all the time too, that someone says, hey, I didn't feel it. So microdosing is I guess I don't want to say it's supposed to be because I feel like the whole thing is still being discovered and figured out. And whoever wrote something about it on the internet was making it up. It's not like they really know. But
Yeah.
most of the literature says that it's supposed to be subperceptual, which means like you don't take it, you don't feel it at all. Like a vitamin you take in the morning and you don't know you took the vitamin or anything.
Yep.
It seems like though most people, and I'm kind of probably in that same boat, is I don't want it to be like fully perceptual. I think sometimes I do. If I have a full day
Yeah.
in nature, I'll be like, all right, it's cool if I start seeing some trees get a little wavy and stuff. If I have
That's
a
the
full day of work, I don't know if I want that.
no.
But I do like minimally perceptual. So I like to have like a little bit of feeling so you know that it's doing something, but nothing too much that you're like affected. Do you have like a sweet spot that you use, or do you just do the 0.3 because that's what you've been getting, or how did you find your sweet spot?
Yeah, I think that my sweet sauce, it just depends too on if it's mixed with lion's mane, if it's mixed with
Mm,
chaga, if I'm doing it in a chocolate form. The cacao makes it just that sweetness, and pure raw chocolate makes it a little bit more heightened, which I really enjoy. But I think 0.30 to 1 gram is kind of that's my don't go past. If I go below, it's like, eh.
mm,
But I just really like to feel the inside happiness. And I do like the little, some days the trees or the grass will be moving. I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. But I'm not stuck in the universe. I
right.
remember the first time I had that one trip, I was like, this is intense. And I couldn't stop laughing. I laughed for like 2 hours. And the
That's
guy I
the
was
best.
with, he
By
was like,
yourself? Oh.
are you okay? I was like, everything is so funny right now. But I think a microdose is, and that's what I want to focus on. You know, a lot of people want they want the macrodose, and then there's these scientific experiments coming out that say you have one microdose, and for the rest of, you know, months afterwards, you're a whole new person. And I'm like, then maybe that's worked for some people, but I think slow and steady wins the race for someone who's new.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Have you ever macroed then, or is a gram the most you've ever done?
No, so I did about 3 grams, and that was enough for me to be like, oh, I don't think I'm ready for anything more than that yet.
I mean, that's a macro. That's a pretty big dose.
It was big. Yeah, it was pretty intense. Other friends took like 5, 6, and I was like, I'm gonna stick with 3. I'm gonna, because I like to be in control still. I'm very much still dealing with that like control and other programmings I've had. So I'll get a little in my head if I'm too far in my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I feel that completely. So have you ever heard, I feel like it's Terrence McKenna says it, but I'm not positive offhand, that like the real true psychedelic experience that you have to have is 5 grams. You put on a blindfold in a dark room, like under your covers, and you just sit through it.
That could be cool.
Because that's like, I guess like the explanation behind it is that's technically you're gonna see what's really going on in your head, because you don't have anything distracting you or giving you hints or whatever. You're just in darkness, and whatever comes to head, you're gonna sit with it. Where even if you're just sitting on your couch, the light moving could just trigger a memory, whatever. Where in complete darkness, that's how you really get to it. But I've never done that. That's kind of a little scary for me.
I know that's because that's like you're about to really sit with your thoughts and your mind. So that is something I would be interested more so than being out, especially on 5 grams, because I'll be like, oh my God, people know I'm on mushrooms. People know what I'm doing.
That definitely happens. Do you know what species you've mostly done? Have you tried different species or at all?
Albino Penis Envy was the first one, and I stuck with that one for a long time. And that's really the only one. I don't really learn those things. I don't really care about those things. It's not that I don't care. It's that for me, I'm just like, I know this is gonna be cool. I'm definitely diving into it because now I'm meeting people who grow it and being able to watch it grow. And I didn't know that I didn't know psilocybin had 300 plus species until I watched this documentary. And I was like, oh, I thought psilocybin was just, so I've been microdosing for 3 years, and I'm just now starting to learn all things psychedelic. It is a whole new world.
I feel like the thing is, it seems like maybe we're late, but to me, the scientists don't really know much yet either. So it's still so much coming out, because I'm a little bit interested in the species. I feel like I don't understand why they affect people different ways. Like there's a species that I saw called Gandalf that multiple people said they felt like religious on it. And it's like, what about this Gandalf makes these people like feel religious? But it's cool that there's so many more studies coming out, because maybe they'll eventually find it out. I'm not sure, but I think like 20 years ago with cannabis, a lot of people didn't know much about cannabis except THC content. You have high THC or low THC. Now they have like a whole terpene profile, cannabinoid profile, and like they know that those things do different things. I imagine there's something in psychedelics that affect it also besides the psilocybin, but who knows?
I know.
Have you ever delved into any other psychedelics and had good experiences with those, or is it mostly a mushroom thing?
Just a mushroom thing. I just did get some LSD. That it's a microdose of LSD that I'm going to try because I watched that documentary, Changing Your Mind. I think it came out on Netflix or something about
how to change your mind.
How to change your mind. And they were talking about how the guy who founded AA, the alcohol meeting, which I've attended, he was on LSD, and that's what got him off of alcohol. And mushrooms totally pulled me away from alcohol. So I was like, how mind-boggling to me that we can have liquor on every corner and marijuana. I saw this video of this guy the other day who came out of prison for 33 years for marijuana. Right out front of the prison, it said, marijuana delivered to your doorstep. And I was like, are you kidding? So I'm like, it is so... just crazy that in the 70s they just nixed it. They just got rid of it completely.
Yeah, it's funny you use the word nixed because it was Nixon.
Right? I know.
Yeah,
Funny, of course. It's just, it blows my mind. But I also think that my little conspiracy mind thinks that they know that this is now really good stuff. Like the government doesn't want us to be elevated and be aware of how powerful we are, because then they lose control. But that's
yeah.
another
So,
topic.
so where do you think psychedelics are going right now? Do you not think they'll be legalized for a while? You think they're going to suppress it because they want to control us, or do you think it's too developed, or where do you
I
see it
don't
going?
know. I did see something today that said Biden said within the next 2 years, psychedelic research will begin.
Yeah, I
But
saw
I'm
that.
like, what are we waiting for? If we know this is working, if we're seeing it work in veterans, if we're seeing it work with depression and anxiety, and I work with people who have disabilities. So my ultimate goal, I've worked with brain injury survivors for a long time. So if this really can fire up neurons in your brain, why are we not trying it on them?
Yeah,
Why, what, it can't hurt.
I agree completely. And then something I feel like a lot of people might not agree with me on, but I kind of don't like the idea that if it gets legalized, that you have to see a therapist and like go to a place to take it. It's like that should be available, and like insurance should be able to provide for that. But if someone
Absolutely.
wants to just grow it on their own or buy it on their own, they should be able to, because the medicine is so powerful. You don't need that much. Like you just take a little bit and it's gonna probably help you. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but
That'd
uh,
be silly. That'd be really silly. That's like, hey, you can't go drink at the bar unless you have a babysitter with you, which is
but
probably smart. But when it comes
yeah,
to
well, if they had that for alcohol, I'd say fine, do it for psilocybin
right,
too. But they don't do it for
yeah,
alcohol; they shouldn't. But it seems like that's the way it's gonna go, unfortunately. But it's better than nothing. Because have
yeah.
you heard of ketamine therapy is like legal now? I've had a couple of friends do that, and you literally walk to a clinic, do it in like a controlled setting, which I guess is cool. But I don't know. I don't know if I like the idea of going to do that.
I don't want to be in a place that feels like I went to we have a ketamine center here, and I drove past it, and I want to go try it, but I was like, how like I call it the heebie-jeebies. If I get the heebie-jeebies, I can't go places or do things. And when I went by it, I was like, I don't think this feels right. And then I know when you walk in, it's probably like doctor's office, and I know it works for some people. I'd rather just go put my feet in nature and like look up at the sun and sky and birds, and that's more therapeutic, I think, than
Yeah, no, I agree. So if you're telling someone is interested in psychedelics, they want to get into microdosing, they heard of the healing powers, what would you recommend to them? What would you tell them? Like, this is what you got to do. This is how you got to do it. How would you like get someone to start off?
I think you just get do a little 0.20 of a gram, 0.12 to 0.20, start slow and get in nature. I mean, you can't go wrong in nature. And everybody's like, well, I'm not gonna be able to drive. It's not like that at all. Give yourself 2 or 3 hours to just chill, bring a book, even just sitting in your backyard, anything, and just really relax, set those intentions, be like, all right, what do I need to work on? Show me what I need, keep me safe, and then you're gonna feel really good afterwards. But don't overthink it. I think a lot of people are overthinking it, like, oh, I can't do this. This is crazy. I'm doing drugs. I'm like, no, no, no. These come from the earth. It's okay.
Yeah,
Don't freak out. But I go out instead of drinking. Sometimes I'll take a little microdose instead.
yeah.
And it's so fun. And you just want to, like, I was at a concert the other night and I saw a video of myself and I was just dancing and I was in my own world and I was just so
Oh yeah,
happy and woke up without a hangover. I was
exactly.
fine. It was great. So I always tell people, like, what do you want to do that would make you happy? So working with someone who surfs, with someone who likes to go play with his dogs, or couples who like to go do this, including something that makes you happy, that could be anything, is a good way to enhance the experience.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree. What concert were you at that you were getting wavy like that?
Um, it was a Rolling Stones, but like a cover band for them. It was
Yeah,
so
the
funny.
with Bob Weir, that one, or
I don't know. I think so. They're based out of LA. He's like a shorter brown hair guy. He had like his rocker pink and black bands on. I don't know. I got last minute tickets. I was like, I'll go see a band. It's on the beach. So I was like, how could I say no? But it
yeah,
was
I don't know.
good. It was so good.
Dead and Company. I was blanking on the name. Was it Dead and Company? They're
I
like
think
huge.
so.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's so funny. They're legit. They travel all over the country.
Yeah, no, they're huge. That's awesome. I went to a similar concert last week, Fish, which is a lot of the same
Fish
type.
just came here too.
Yeah,
People love that band here. They're obsessed. That and
yeah,
Grateful Dead.
that and Grateful Dead. Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty funny. There's probably a lot of people there who are like that, I'd imagine. Um,
Yes.
so what's it called? I guess what is your plans for the future? What are you thinking? How do you want to be involved in psychedelics? What are your plans?
So I don't know, but I do know that I want to help people. I am considering going to a psychedelic school, which isn't, FDA approved or anything yet, but learning from therapists and learning from people who have studied psychedelics. I do want to go. I'm learning all things Paul Stamets. If he ever asks anything, I wish he had like a college. I would go to his college.
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, ultimately just being able to kind of just hold space for people that want to try it, but they're a little nervous, just make them feel safe and having a big retreat, but not like these retreats we see where it's very like, light and love, which is great. But I'm
Mm,
also like, let's get into the nitty gritty of what you're feeling. Let's be open,
right.
honest humans. Tell me what you're feeling, cry, laugh. Just real, just really, really real, raw, fun on mushrooms, chilling, having a good time. Just, I don't know, that world peace that we had back in the day. I want that
Yeah,
again. We're just divided in so many ways. It's makes me a little sad, but that's the goal, just to help people and at least create awareness.
I like that. I meant to ask this earlier, but kind of makes sense right now. So when you meet someone, uh, do you talk about psychedelics right away, or do you kind of wait a little? I think it's awesome your mom was there the first time. Or like if she wasn't, how long would you have waited to tell someone like your mom or a family member? Are you like completely open with it, or do you wait to see if they're cool? Or
No, I have no shame because I think a lot of people have this preconceived idea, but if someone that is so open and somewhat knowledgeable and has experience with it is like, no, I know I do this. They're like, because some people I'll tell them and they're like, what do you mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I will explain to them, what I do, and they're kind of very surprised, which is cool because now it's in the back of their head. And now they're
hmm
going to go probably do some research and be like, hey,
yeah,
I met this girl today who did this. So even if it's just that little thing in there, it's just like marijuana trying to I've been smoking weed since I was 13. I'm 27.
damn,
So, people I remember my mom got so pissed at me when I came home super high one day before work, but I was like, girl, I'm good. Like I'm
yeah.
so good.
There's
But
a
it's
lot of
just
people on way worse stuff at work.
right. I
Yeah.
know. And that's also another thing. We could probably help a lot of people get away from alcoholism, heroin, those opioids, all that stuff. So there's a lot that's going to happen. I think in the next 10 years, it's going to be like just insane. And I'm just excited to play a part in it and just watch it.
I agree. I'm here for it. I'm agreeing with everything you've said. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited also when it all happens to be able to look back on this, be like, see, we called it. Maddie and Jeremy
Right.
said it. And I do agree too when you like plant the seed in people and you talk about it. A lot of time they put you off, but they're thinking about it. And then
Mm-hmm.
when like unfortunately big media companies have articles about Biden researching it, that's when these people go, wait, Maddie just mentioned that a couple weeks ago, and then they start actually like changing their mind a little, which I wish they like just believed us because we're good people. But if
Yeah.
it takes the media to say something, it's still good. And slowly seems like things are shifting.
Take what we can get for now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's about all I have for now or today. Is there any closing statements you would want to say? Anything to share? Whatever.
No, mushrooms are going to save the world and we're playing a part in it. So I'm hyped.
I agree. Well, much love from the mushroom. Thank you as always. See you guys
All
soon.
right.